Hello and welcome. This is T-Minus Today. My name is Dave. Today we get to talk about something that I'm actually really excited to talk about. It's a GPU. It's the 1660 Super. So it's actually the Nvidia GTX 1660 Super. And I think it came out on the 27th of October. And so I'm a few days late getting this uploaded, but here we go. I love talking about this sort of thing because it's just right up my alley, and I love talking about these types of cards because it's a great card for the money, and I'm actually really excited about this one. So let's dive right into it. First thing we need to get out of the way is that it's kind of convoluted right now. You have from AMD, you have the RX 570, 580, and 590 for like the low end stuff, and then you get into like Vega 56 and 64, and then you have the RX 5700 and 5700 XT. That's not too bad, but then you get over to the Nvidia side, and just for the low end, so AMD I think has three cards, the 570, 580, and 590. Nvidia has the GTX 1650, the 1650 Super, the 1660, the 1660 Super, and the 1660 Ti. And that's before you start jumping into the more expensive RTX cards. So which one out of all of these cards should you get? It's ridiculously segmented right now. So we're going to talk about that. Thankfully, I made this little spreadsheet to help me kind of figure out how everything's going. This top one here, there's this top bar right across here. This whole section right here is all from Hardware Unboxed. This second section is from Tech Power Up, and this third section is from PC Gamer. Now I just took the values that they had. If you want an actual review of all this, go check out their reviews because they do great jobs in at what they do, and I can't compile data like they can. But I did compile their data, and I came up with some graphs, and hopefully this will help you make a decision for yourself on what graphics card you should buy. This column's just telling you whether it's a, PC Gamer, Tech Power Up, or Hardware Unboxed. And over here it's HU, TPU, Tech Power Up, and PCG, PC Gamer, Hardware Unboxed, right? And then this column B, is going to be the card. Now these are all the same. I know I'm obscuring this top left portion up here. It's the same for Hardware Unboxed as it is for Tech Power Up. You have the 1050 Ti, 1060, 1066 gigs, 1660, 1660 Super, 1660 Ti, 1070, and the 2060. But Dave, why don't you have the 1650 or the 1650 Super on there? It's because no one else had these values readily available, so we're just kind of going with what it is. So this column C is the FPS average, which I averaged out and I graphed, and then we have a 1% low in the D column, and then we have the percentage from baseline in the E column, and we have the price as of when I looked them up, I think on the 27th of October 2019 on Amazon. And then I made a little FPS per dollar. So the lighter colors is the better FPS per dollar, is the better value, and the darker is the worse value. So the reason I included the 1% low is because sometimes a card struggles with one frame out of 100 consistently. If that is ever the case, then this 1% low line should not follow the graph with everything else, which is not the case here. Right now, everything, you can just go with FPS average. It's pretty much the same as the 1% low or 3% low, according to PC Gamer. I'm not sure why they did 3% low. It kind of defeats the purpose. I like 1% or 0.1% low. Hardware Unboxed, FPS average, the 1050 Ti average 42 frames per second. The 1063 gigabyte is 64 frames per second. Now the 1063 gigabyte is just like the 970 4 gig, the Maxwell card. And so we have the 3 and 6 gigabyte version of that. We have the 1660 and the 1660 Super. The 1660 Super is an interesting card because at first you look at the 1660 and the 1660 Super and they're practically identical. The core count, most everything is exactly the same except for one thing, the memory. One uses GDDR5 and the other uses GDDR6. I think it's 8 gigabits per second for the GDDR5 and it's 14 gigabits per second for the GDDR6. It's much faster memory, and it shows. So my big question with the 1660 Super was, yes, it might be decent value, but are they going to come out at a terrible price? If it was $250, that would be too expensive. Thankfully, it MSRPs for $229, and it is selling over at EVGA. I found a card, an aftermarket card, selling for $229. 2 fans, great card. So it's actually a pretty good value, the 1660 Super, in my opinion. Then you have the 1660 Ti right above that. The 1070, which is the last generation card. You probably shouldn't be buying the 1070 at all unless you can find it on eBay for pretty cheap. Then it might be a really good deal. Then there's the 2060, which is kind of a different class. And I also included the RX 570, 580, and the 590 because I do believe they have a place still. There's the Vega 56, that's like an anomaly card. If you if you know what undervolting is and you want to do that and find it for a good price, maybe for $250 or less, the Vega 56 could be a good choice. Otherwise, probably not. Otherwise, just go for the RX 590 or wait for the RX 570 if you're trying to stay on the AMD team. And then we have the prices right here. So the prices was $159 for the 1050 Ti, $189, $229, $219 for the 1660, $229 for the 1660 Super, and it goes up from there. It's $275 for the 1660 Ti. 1070 was $379. You can get that about $200 on eBay, so that's that's a terrible price, and it makes the FPS per dollar skyrocket there. And the 2060 was going for $344. Then there's the RX 570, which is a cool $130, which makes it excellent value. The RX 580, which is $170. The RX 590 is $189. The Vega 56 is going for about $300. And the RX 570 is going for, the RX 5700 is going for $379. So we're going to do from baseline. Now, we cannot compare these to each other because you can't say, oh, this one has 10 more FPS. Hardware Unboxed has 10 more FPS than Tech Power Up, because it doesn't work like that. Their testing methodology, their testing methodologies are completely different, and it is not a fair comparison, so please do not compare them to each other. What we can do is compare their percentage from baseline. So I made a Hardware Unboxed percentage from baseline, a Tech Power Up percentage from baseline, and a PC Gamer percentage from baseline. So the 1660 Super is baseline, is 100%. So the 1050 Ti only pulls in 48%. If you're looking for a budget graphics card, do not buy the 1050 or the 1650. Your card is probably going to be the RX 570. It is a good value for the price in here. So I would recommend, if you're going to buy an entry-level graphics card, you would buy the RX 570. However, if you have more than $130 to spend, you should seriously consider purchasing the 1660 Super. It is a good card for the money. You're paying $229. And the 1660 Ti is only 107% from baseline, same with the 1070. The 2060 is 124% from baseline, but then with the 2070, the 2060 is 124% from baseline, but you're also paying $344 for that, and that is expensive. So the 1660 Super is a kind of an interesting card, and I think it's worth purchasing over the RX 580 and the RX 590. So it uses one 8-pin power connector and it shouldn't be too loud. So is the 1660 Super worth it? Yes. I think the 1660 Super would be the next obvious choice if you didn't want to purchase the RX 570 because you're looking for a little bit more performance. I think the next step would then be the 1660 Super. And if you're looking for something more than $229 and you want to go into the $350 range, then I think the RX 570 is the clear winner when it comes to the $350, $370 price range. And the RX 570 is going to continue to be the clear winner, maybe even get the XT version until two things happen. One, Nvidia comes out with their new Ampere cards, which are coming, and they are on a new process node. So we will be looking at 7 nanometers with Nvidia come next year sometime. We don't know when they're going to come out, but when they do come out, you can pretty much bet that they're going to be doing pretty well. They might cost a lot. I mean, that all remains to be seen. We don't know. So if you're the waiting type and you want to wait, definitely wait for Nvidia to release their 7 nanometer cards. But if you want to get a card now, between now and Christmas, you should probably either pick up the RX 570, the 1660 Super for the more mid-tier, maybe 1440p, 60 FPS gang, or if you're doing 1080p at 144 hertz or higher, the 1660 Super would be a great card. However, above that, around the $350, $400 range, look at the RX 5700 or the 5700 XT. Above that, you get into the prices just skyrocket. I honestly don't recommend anything above an RX 5700 XT because the RTX 2070 doesn't actually beat it that much. And once you get to the 2080 or the 2080 Ti or the 2080 Super, you're looking at anywhere from $700 to $1,200 or $1,300 for a graphics card, and I'm not willing to ever pay that price for a graphics card. So those are my thoughts. The 1660 Super is a good mid-range card. Again, if you're looking for the low end, get the RX 570. But if you're looking for something in the $200 range-ish, look at the 1660 Super. It's a good card, and it has some awesome features. Thank you for joining me this evening, and we will see you next time. Do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out, or check out some more of my videos, and we'll talk to you later.